Hello, Tampa Bay fans. You're listening to The William Haynes Show, your online radio home for Tampa Bay sports talk and Rays postgame shows. Stay tuned throughout baseball season for live coverage after most Rays games with comprehensive coverage of all 162 games from April through October. Got something to say? We'd love to hear it. Give us a call, internationally toll-free. 877-566-1020 or send us a tweet at WHBC Official. Don't go anywhere. Tonight's program will be starting in just a couple of minutes.
HBC.
What a major league debut for Wander Franco. It is a good evening to you and how you be. William Haynes here, you there, at 12 a.m. midnight on this early Wednesday morning. This Rays postgame edition of the William Haynes Show is live from the WHBC studio in Clearwater, Florida. The Rays fall by a score of 9-5 in 11 innings to the first place team in the American League East. That's the Boston Red Sox. It is the 7th consecutive loss for Tampa Bay. They are now 3-9 in extra innings. At least it wasn't a walk-off, I guess we can say that. And trying to keep it as positive as we can tonight, because I think the loss, if anything, was just a little bit circumstantial. To be honest, you want my we're about 20 minutes after the final out, but you want just kind of my gut instant reaction. They just ran out of pitchers. They only had one other guy in the bullpen in Castillo, and you can't go to your final pitcher in the 11th inning, so they kind of had to let Fairbanks kind of leave him out there to rot, and they've done that a couple times just out of necessity. Really was working some magic in the 10th, and it was a miracle that the Red Sox didn't score any runs in the top of the 10th. And you want to have something to be mad about, just be mad at the Rays not scoring in the bottom of the 10th, and be mad about them going 3 for 17 with runners in scoring position over the course of the game. And I know we've got some people that would be calling in potentially tonight and airing some frustrations, and certainly you can do that. Number to call the show, 877-566-1020. You can also drop us a line on Twitter at WHBC Official to share your thoughts on there as well. A note on the broadcast tonight, in games that the Rays have won, they hit with a 270 average with runners in scoring position, and in games that they lose, they hit 165 with runners in scoring position. And so you go 3 for 17 in a category, and yes, the 2 extra innings do inflate those numbers quite a bit, but more often than not, that's going to put you on the losing end of a ball game, and those 2 things is really what it's about. But certainly the positive, the good that we have to discuss is Wander Franco making his debut at 20 years old, the switch hitter from the Dominican Republic. We talked about him quite a bit yesterday, and he's been really the talk of the ball for a couple seasons since he was signed by the Rays in July of 2017, and he for a couple years now has been considered the best prospect in all of baseball, and really towards the end here, as we were nearing his major league call-up, was considered the best prospect in decades, up there with the likes of Ken Griffey Jr., and then more recently, of course, guys like Ronald Acuna Jr., Bryce Harper, guys to that level. And I wasn't sure how Wander was going to do in his big league debut. He looked a bit rough in spring training, did not really flash much of anything other than just that he was probably too young for the show. But a guy in his minor league career historically had more walks than strikeouts. He was hitting over 350 in about 40 games at AAA this year, and so they made the move to call him up. He goes 2 for 4 with 3 runs knocked in and a walk in his big league debut. Of course, walked in the first inning and came across a score, so checked off a couple boxes. First walk, first base reached safely, and the first run scored. And then in the 5th inning, he notched on his belt the first hit in his big league career, and it was a ball that went all the way out of Tropicana Field, and a hit certainly that I'll always remember, up there with maybe that Kiermaier home run in Game 3 of the ALDS in 2019. That's really where I put it. And it was on the first pitch that he saw, went 362 to left, kind of near the 162 landing that Longoria hit the home run to all those years ago. It was a slider, and he was facing the lefty, Eduardo Rodriguez, at that time, so he was hitting righty, and so just pulled that ball that went down and into him, and really punished that baseball, and it was really fun to watch. In his very next at bat in the 7th inning, he hit a double as well. So notching all kinds of stuff going for him, and that was on a 1-1 count. And on the same pitch, a slider down and in against another left-hander, the reliever that time. So interesting that his 2 extra base hits were on sliders down and in as a right-hander, and of course that's something that we'll keep an eye on. And then finally got an at bat as a lefty in the 9th inning up against the righty Matt Barnes, and he had a chance to win the game. It was with a runner at first and 1 out, and he just grounded out to the pitcher. Did move the runner over to second with 2 outs, so good to see him put the ball in play, and he did not strike out. He finishes, as I said, 2 for 4 with a walk and that home run. That out in the 9th, of course, that moved the runner to second. That was a productive out. And then his out in the 3rd, a deep fly out to center. It was well hit. He gave it a ride. And, every at-bat was certainly exciting for Franco. I was there in attendance at the Trop. It was a great scene. Really had a playoff atmosphere. The attendance was just under 14,000. Or just under 13,000, rather. So the largest crowd of the year by far, and we talked about yesterday a ton of things going into the series, trying to get off the schneid with the losing streak, going up against the Boston Red Sox for the division lead, midway through the season in June, and then also the Wander Franco call-up. There's a lot of stuff, and like I said, really a playoff atmosphere. I'm sure you can hear it from my voice. My voice is pretty much shot. I was losing my mind. Just a lot of really great moments, and that's what I want to remember tonight as, even with the loss, because of course in a 162 you are going to have nights like this, and as I mentioned before, I think it was just circumstantial, and you can only bellyache about that stuff with runners in scoring position for so long. Yes, it did happen. It is still an issue. There's no end in sight of it, but every team deals with it to an extent, maybe not to the extreme that the Rays do. But it is going to happen, and I think the Rays are still in good position. Look, even with the 7-game losing streak, they're 12 games above 500 still. What they do have to be worried about is the division lead, and the Red Sox are now 7-0 against the Rays and the Yankees this year combined. So they have put the American League East on notice, and I didn't think they would make it this far into the season. I still don't think they're going to finish the season strong with the way their pitching is set up, but they are finding ways to win ball games, and they certainly did tonight. And that's about it. You look at, and I want to keep this a relatively short program. I know we may have a call or two coming in, and we'll get to that on the other side of the break. I think Ryan Yarbrough, obviously not a very good appearance for him, not a start, 2 innings behind the reliever, and we'll probably get into that a little bit later. But after the top of the 3rd, the Rays were down 5-2 after Tampa Bay took a 2-0 lead in the 1st. And so it looked like maybe that's how it was going to be. It was only a 3-run lead for Boston, but it just seemed like things weren't going the Rays' way. Then Franco hits that 3-run homer to tie it in the 5th, and they're deadlocked until the 11th at that 5-5 score. The Rays had several opportunities to score, runners in scoring position, less than 2 outs, and again, with the 3 for 17, they were terrible. And you want to maybe put a couple guys, particular in your crosshairs. Both Austin Meadows and Brandon Lau go 0 for 5, and they both go 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position. So horrible performances probably from both of them, and a couple guys that really aren't going right with the bat right now. Meadows batting now 226, and Brandon Lau, it looks like he's found a new home once again below the Mendoza line at 198. And those are two guys that are supposed to be cornerstones of the lineup, guys that should be hitting at the top and being productive. And on nights when they don't, it's no surprise that the offense struggles a little bit. Wander Franco tonight reminded me of October Randy, where he's a batter that can get kind of white hot, not just red hot, mind you, but white hot. The hottest that a flame could be, and is so good that he can carry a team for stretches. Wander Franco showed that tonight. Randy has not done much of that in the regular season, and it looks like right now Wander may have to do that, and certainly we hope that he keeps this up and he'll be able to stay up with the big league club. But he gave it his all and it still wasn't enough. But they did get some pretty good performances from some other guys. Randy 3 for 5 with 3 infield hits, and he was running them all out. Francisco Mejia looks like maybe he can finally turn things around with the 2 for 3, and then Yandy was 2 for 6 and was working pretty good at bats all night, and I certainly think that he needs to stay at the top of the order hitting leadoff. So with that being said, we're going to take a quick break. When we return, we'll get into some of your calls, talk tonight's loss, and then at the end of the program, preview tomorrow's game against Boston. It will be Garrett Richards against Rich Hill at 7:10 at the Trop. So, again, number to call during the break, 877-566-1020. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Rays postgame on the William Haynes Show. We're live most nights within 15 minutes of the final out to break down everything that happened in that day's game and take listener phone calls to get your thoughts. As always, you call the show at 877-566-1020 or tweet the show at WHBCOfficial. Like you to remember that archives of previous shows can be found on this show's page on Speaker.com and also on the WHBC YouTube channel. We look forward to having some of you on the show. Thanks for calling in.
Sports Radio 101.9 FM. Sports Radio 636. Sports Radio
HBC.
And at 12:11 on this Wednesday morning, we are back on the William Haynes Show. Once again, number to call is 877-566-1020. The phone lines are open, and we would love to hear from any of you. If you want to talk Rays, tonight's loss, whatever, want to rave about Wander Franco, certainly that would be welcome as well. And we have a call now, but I don't have it linked up to my Skype, so I'm going to have to get back to him in a second. So, Seth, if you're listening, I'm getting your call, but I got to get it through the computer. So what we're going to do, try and take a couple quick minute break for technical difficulties. We'll be back in a second. Bear with us here, folks. hang on for a second, would you?
Sports Radio 1019 FM. Sports Radio 66. Sports Radio
HBC.
Apologies for the technical difficulties. We were now returned to the William Haynes Show. We got the phone line up and running, and right now we have Seth calling in from Los Angeles. Seth, good evening to you. You got a quick point or two for us tonight? Wow. I'm sorry about this. I got the I'm having some audio issues again, so try and bear with me a second. I'm sorry about this. Could you do me a favor and call back? I'm so sorry about this. This is embarrassing, but I'm having issues. Go ahead and call me back, and we'll try this again. All right. All right. So I apologize to our listeners. For whatever reason, I got the phone line up running through the computer, but for some reason the audio on the call, I can hear Seth calling in, but you cannot. So we're going to have him call back in, and we'll just kind of put him on speakerphone on the phone and try and do that way. So again, thank you for bearing with us during this time. And after the show, I'll get it straightened out, and we can get the phone line back up running again now here. So now we have Seth calling in now. I believe we should have you here. Seth, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
I believe they can, yes. So you said you're not calling in from L.A. tonight. Where are you calling in from?
I am calling in from Panama City Beach, Florida, so I am closer to y'all than normal, but I'm not in the time zone. I'm in that weird part of Florida. It's in Central Time, so I'm closer, but not close enough. And no, I was not at the game. Obviously, it's too far. It's still like 5 hours from where I'm at. So.
Well, if you could, maybe share some of your thoughts. What did you think about the game tonight?
Oh, I thought it was horrible. I mean, Wander's debut aside, pretty much the entire game was complete and utter dreck. I mean, the only people that really remotely deserve any kind of praise would be the bullpen other than Pete, especially McHugh. Frankie was solid. Yandy was all right, mostly. Randy was pretty good, although he was just really legging out infield hits. He didn't really get anything beyond the infield. I mean, speed's great. I don't have any problem with speed. But yeah, just generally, this slide is intolerable. We've gotten to the point where moves have to be made within the next few days. Especially if they drop another game. If they drop a game tomorrow, there has to be stuff done. I had some ideas, actually. I don't know if you're willing to entertain it, but the last time I had ideas for stuff the Rays should do to fix themselves, they immediately got right, and without any of my ideas really happening. So maybe if I do it again, maybe we can reverse jinx this and they'll fix themselves. I don't know.
Yeah, go ahead. Let us hear it. What's on your mind on how they can fix things?
Oh, I got a list. So I posted this on the subreddit and the Discord. I was just trying to do something after loss, trying to do something constructive other than punching a wall over and over and over. I don't know. So first thing, I don't think this is controversial. I posted it on the Reddit in order from least hard to do to most hard. So I think we'll just go in the same order. This is not controversial. This is not a controversial take. This is incredibly easy to do. Just DFA Waka. Very simple. DFA him. You could try sending him to New York. The irony of him signing with with us after the Mets, and then leaving the Mets and all that, and then him getting sent back would be pretty ridiculous. But they're pretty desperate right now. They just had Stroman go down with injury tonight, and Lucchesi is going out with Tommy John more than likely. So they are extremely desperate for any kind of pitching help they can get. There's maybe a chance that we could get him shipped off to there for like a couple lotto tickets or something, maybe like I don't know, some crappy outfield prospect, pardon my French. I don't even know. I have no idea. But getting rid of him is critical because he's awful. He's just completely horrible, and giving him another chance is pointless because he's had plenty of chances and he's never done well. Other than a couple starts at the beginning of the season, he's really never. And most of those starts are really lucky. I mean, he was playing against an incredibly depleted Yankees lineup when he got those 9 strikeouts in 6 innings, or however many it was. It's luck. Most of what he's succeeding on is complete luck, and when he's not lucky, he's horrible. He's a complete black hole that is losing his game. So, DFA him, trade him, I don't really care which, call up Patino to replace him. Very easy. This can be done in literally a couple phone calls. It's not hard. Next thing, I mean, like I said, I don't think that was controversial, so if you have thoughts on it, I mean, you can interject and interrupt me, go right ahead if you want. But the next thing I was thinking, I mean, this might seem kind of emotional. This might seem like a decision that's wrong or cruel, but I think Pete's got to get sent down or put on the IL or something. I mean, I don't know what's wrong with the guy. He's just mentally or physically not all there. I'm not really sure what's going on. Like, I'm wondering if maybe he's hurting. I'm wondering if maybe he's just mentally not right, like Sheriff was. Like, Sheriff had that real issue where he was just not feeling anything anymore, just having a horrible, like, mental state about the game. And I want Pete to get the help he needs, whatever help that is. If that needs to be sent down, if he needs to be put on the IL, I don't really know. But right now, he's just not contributing to the team. He's not helping.
I would disagree with you there just a little bit. I mean, especially after that walk-off that he allowed to Chicago, he was, if anything, the exact opposite of Sheriff in that he was really upset with himself. And really, if anything, the crazy eyes tell the story alone. He does have that competitive fire without question. And then also what I would say about Pete tonight, I thought he did really well in the 10th. Actually was quite a magician with a tag out at home and working in and out of the jam. I think where maybe your concerns with him are coming would have been his performance in the 11th, where he gave up a handful of hits and the big inning with the handful of runs, and he ends up getting the loss. To me, that's just on overuse. And you said with the IL, yes, the velo was down. To me, they just used him too much. He's not a 2-inning guy. He threw 37 pitches. He got misused tonight.
I don't disagree with that entirely, but I do think, I will say this, I don't really think that the 10th is an example of him doing all that well. Because, I mean, him getting that out was pretty much purely on the hop coming back to Z and him being able to get to the plate in time. Like, there's more luck there than skill. I'm going to be honest. Like, I don't see that as a good thing. Wander pretty much completely saved him with that double play. I like that. That was like, because that was a hard hit ball that honestly could have been a single. Wander got really lucky himself, was able to snag it, was able to get the guy out of the baseline, and the most lucky thing Wander got was a really favorable call from the first base umpire. He was not out. Like, I mean, if review wasn't the way that it is, he probably would have been called safe. I mean, like, it was really, really close. I don't know if he was really out. There was some luck there involved as well. Not gonna crap on Wander in any way. I mean, it was an incredible play. It was a completely heads up play, but it was a little lucky too. But yeah, I don't really see that as skill. I see that as a lot of luck, a lot of help in the defense. He was spiking a ton of pitches. I mean, realistically, by rights, he should have had 2 runs there and we should have lost. Like, it should have been 2 runs in. Like just, you know, realistically, like, there absolutely could have been multiple runs in there instead of like a really, really lucky play. Unless oh wait, no. I just realized I completely mixed up the 9th and the 10th. My apologies. I meant to strike him out, throw him out, is what I meant there.
Yeah.
To strike him out of JD was great. That was great. I just realized I mixed that up. That was really good. That was good sequencing. I don't know what that was, but in comparison to the rest of the game, it seems like an outlier. And then Z really saved him, I should say. It wasn't so much Wander. Z completely saved him with that throw to second. That was just an amazing throw. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I see a lot of what happened in the 10th is kind of lucky. And the 11th was a disaster. And his last appearance in Seattle was a complete disaster. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking something's not right. And certainly you mentioned like the overuse. It makes me wonder if he's going to hurt himself soon And for that reason, I think almost an IL stint as a precautionary measure wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah, and they're certainly going to have to look at that. And I saw them talking on the radio call there at the end that they may have to bring someone up from Durham just to get some pitching depth. So you said DFA. You said DFA Waka, maybe looking to sending Fairbanks down, IL, whatever. Give us maybe one more thing on your list of things that the Rays should do. Maybe the most controversial, the one that would be the most eye-popping on what you would do, maybe if you were running the ship in Tampa Bay.
Okay, sure. All right. Okay, yeah. If you want eye-popping, here's a fun one. The other stuff is just kind of like pie in the sky, just me kind of throwing darts at the wall. If you want to go on the Rays subreddit or the Discord, if anybody's listening, and check it out. If you haven't seen it already, you can go right ahead. But this is the one that I think is kind of the big ticket thing. And this is one of the harder things to do. Like, I put it towards the middle of the list because it's like, I don't know if this is going to require stuff to kind of play out in a favorable way for us. I really think we need to get starting pitching at the deadline or sooner if possible. My take on that is that the best candidate, everybody's talking about Jose Barrios. They're all talking about Jose Barrios, talking about Max Scherzer. These two guys, Barrios is on, we'll get him for a year and a half. He's going to be essentially a rental. Scherzer is a complete rental. There is absolutely zero chance he re-signs.
Right.
Well, I guess I shouldn't say zero. It's pretty tough to see him signing again. I don't see it. I would think he either plays at the Rays in Washington or who knows.
Yeah, he's not. He wouldn't re-sign with the Rays, and I can't imagine that the Rays would want to pony up for what's left of his whatever $20 million salary. But so who else? Who else besides Barrios or Scherzer?
In my opinion, the biggest target the Rays should have, and I think honestly the most achievable too. I really don't think it would cost that much. Tyler Mahle on the Cincinnati Reds. If you go on this guy's Baseball Savant page, you will see a sea of red that is unlike anything you'll see on anybody's Savant page except for maybe Ohtani or Trout. Like, this dude is so good, and he's just waiting for somebody to mold the pitcher that he needs to be. He's got a couple of issues with velocity, with exit velocity on his hits, but that's really not something that you can judge a pitcher too hard on. Like, he gives up hard hit balls, I think the issue there, but that's really not something that can necessarily be judged. That's all.
Yeah, and Tyler Mahle, this year he's on a 1 year, $2.2 million deal, so that's certainly something that the Rays could look into. And I will agree with you there. I watching the game tonight and watching how Yarbrough looks, it appears that there isn't anyone that can quite fill the shoes of Glass now, so they're going to have to, I think, look maybe to the trade market, and I do agree with you there. So, Seth, thank you for the call. You had some good points. I like the list, and anytime a team like this has a 7-game losing streak, you have to look at maybe how you can shake things up, and that will certainly be part of the conversation moving forward. So, Seth, thanks for taking a couple minutes of your time tonight. And it looks like we may have lost Seth there. So, Seth, if you're listening, I want to thank you again for the call tonight if you're tuning in. And for the people that are listening live, I do want to apologize for the issue that we had with the call-in line and the technical difficulties, and I'll make sure that that's rectified before our next show tomorrow night. If we have anyone else that would like to call in, certainly you can still do so on the speakerphone at 877-566-1020. Just a couple more comments about Seth's call, and then we'll move on. He said DFA Waka. I understand that a lot of Rays fans are upset with Waka, and I think to an extent it's rightfully so. Looked awful, just very dreadful his last time out against the Mariners. But a couple things in his defense. It was the first time they had really stretched him out. He went, for I think 4 1/3, and threw a lot more pitches than he had, about 30 more than he had previously. So uncomfortable in that regard. And I thought his stuff looked fine, and I guess that's part of the concern is if that's his stuff and it's getting hit around, that's not someone you really want as part of your rotation. But I would point to when Waka is at his best, he can pitch a 5 or 6 inning outing and holding the opponent to just a couple of runs. And without Glass now, this is going to be an important part of evaluating the starting rotation, which is to manage expectations. You look at a guy like Rich Hill, Michael Wacha, even Ryan Yarbrough right now. No one is going to replace Glass now. 7-8 innings shutout with spectacular stuff, is really dazzling, is really wowing, that kind of stuff. Forget about that. This is back to the days of 2018 and 2019 when you only have a couple of healthy or a couple of good starting pitchers, and you're going back to that old formula of bullpenning and piecemealing games together with who's throwing and all that stuff, just like they did tonight. Ryan Yarbrough, the bulk guy, only went 2 innings tonight, and of course that was mainly thanks to his 5-run third inning that he allowed to the Red Sox, and looked pretty dreadful there. From where I was sitting, I didn't exactly get the same view on TV, so I can't speak totally for him, but it seemed like 5 hits over 2 innings, that's never a good thing, and gives up a long ball, which he doesn't usually do, and a double in there as well. He's not a guy typically that's getting squared up, so to me, that's certainly a warning sign that there was something wrong for Yarbrough. 67 pitches, 40 strikes on the night, so pretty efficient as far as strikes, but a ton of foul balls, and that certainly cannot put anyone away. There was, the 15-pitch at-bat to Bogarts that he ends up singling on anyway, and keeps the line moving, and that was devastating. But back to the point, no one's going to replace Glass now and be able to do what he does. So you're going to have to be okay with Rich Hill and Ryan Yarbrough and Michael Wacha maybe going 4 or 5 innings and maybe scoreless, or run or 2, and then you're going to have to lean on the bullpen. There's going to be bulk guys coming back. Colin McHugh, who pitched 3 scoreless tonight, has looked fantastic as always. Drew Rasmussen, a guy that may be back on his way up, if not tomorrow, then potentially Thursday. And you're going to have to lean on your 1-inning guys some tonight. Ryan Thompson, Kittredge. I'm not quite sure with Whistler. He pitched a scoreless inning tonight, and it looks like maybe he's still trending good with the Rays, but it was a little bit stressful seeing him out there in such a big situation. And, of course, Fireeisen and Fairbanks, who each tonight finished the game off with a couple of innings of work. I wish they were scoreless for Fairbanks. Obviously, the 11th was not. And then I believe to his other point, and I did kind of air that out, but Seth had mentioned with Fairbanks to maybe send him down or put him on the aisle, whatever. And I told you as much. I don't think the accusation that he's lost his competitive fire, I don't think that's exactly fair, but I think he's just going through a rough patch. I don't think that's necessarily indicative of the kind of player that he is. And I do disagree. I think the 10th inning was pretty good. Was really good. Like I said, magician level stuff. And they really just did misuse him. They only had 1 pitcher left in the bullpen. They had no choice but to leave Fairbanks in, and maybe a point to Ryan Thompson only pitching that to that 1 batter. But I understand that he's been horrible when he comes back out for his second up. And blame the offense for the game even being where it was, not scoring in the bottom of the 10th, whatever. So Fairbanks, I think, will be fine. The bullpen will be fine. They have been terrific. So you can start to lean on them a little bit, because the Rays on that winning streak did not have to really lean on the bullpen as much. We kind of took them for granted, but they were not really driving those wins. It was the offense and some terrific starting pitching really over that stretch. And interested to see Shane McClanahan. I think has the potential. We saw that on Sunday to step up and at least fill the shoes of the 6'8" Glass now. But either way, more of our discussion. I'm not going to go deep in batter by batter, things like that, because I think I'm about ready to kind of put somewhat of a wraps on the program tonight and just kind of scrap our losses and head into tomorrow and try and get off the schneid. There was a lot of big momentous plays. It seemed like I was out of my seat at Tropicana Field quite frequently, jumping up and down and shouting about plays that were really gone right for the defense. Certainly it was an exciting day and an adventure. More good at the beginning and some bad at the end. There was a play by Franco that came in the 8th inning. It was with a runner at second base and 1 out. And that double for Devers, it was just off the B ring at the Trop, so they just kind of got screwed a little bit by of course, the ground rules going. Usually it goes against the opponent. Tonight it goes against the Rays. So it was a runner at second with 1 out and a tie game in the 8th. And it's a ground ball to the left side to Wander Franco, who's, of course, playing the hot corner tonight. And he's able to tag Devers going from second to third. And not only do that, but get the throw to first in time to get the running Hunter Renfroe for the double play, and that was huge, and that was a big moment. And then, of course, in the 10th inning, it was really, really wild where Danny Santana singled to start the inning, but did not score Dahlback, the runner, at second. So it was runners at the corners with nobody out. And then it was that wild pitch from Fairbanks to Zunino. It ricochets off the backstop. Zunino is able to throw to Fairbanks, who fielding his position well, is covering home and gets the tag down. A great throw by Zunino to kind of lead the glove down to the body of Bobby Dahlback, but also for Fairbanks making the catch and making the tag and finishing the play. That was terrific. And then after that, and mind you, at that situation, it was runners at the corners with one out. So it was still in a big, big jam. And a strikeout of Martinez, strike him out, throw him out play. They get Verdugo caught stealing there. So a really nifty play. Worked not just by Fairbanks, but also by Zunino and some Rays defense that was going well. Outside of that, not a whole lot. I mean, there was a jumping or a leaping really grab by Randy Arozarena in the 6th. That was really exciting to see, and there was a couple of flyouts. I think a running catch made by Kiermaier there in center as well. So the defense doing their typical things. And then where it went not so good was in the 11th, and the ball going right through the legs of Yandy Diaz. He put the glove down, and it just kind of went through the wickets, as they say. And a guy that so far this year has fielded his position at first base pretty well. Not so great at third base, but is serviceable there. Will be playing a lot less third base, I would imagine, with the call-up of Wander Franco, especially if Wander is here to stay. So you won't have to worry about him there as much. And I think now Yandy in a true maybe platoon with Choi. And those are two guys that you really should be getting everyday playing time that just don't really fit into the mix. So, again, this has not gone away, the kind of infield jam, the log jam at the infield positions with a lot of guys you want to get playing time, but you can only have 4 guys start in the infield every night. And they're going to have to kind of mix and match things. I think Taylor Walls is the guy that gets sent down if Franco establishes himself, and I mentioned that last night. But Brandon Lau, I don't know if you send him down. I mean, I think honestly he has too much cachet. But with the Rays, I mean, no one is above the send down to the minor leagues. I mean, it certainly is above the level of a Mike Brasso. And they sent Brasso down, I think, without much, second guessing. So Lau right now is hitting 198, but they continue to give him votes of confidence. I'm not sure why. He doesn't give them much reason to. Why you want to keep having him in the lineup, especially against lefties. But right now, there's not really a ton we can do. And I think with the 7-game winning streak, and I say this all the time, it really just compounds all the bad feelings that you have about the team going. But let's focus on the good if we can, and for Franco it was really fantastic, and they had really scoring opportunities going the whole game. Looking throughout the contest, in the first inning they put up a couple of runs and take the first lead that this team has had in quite a while. Yandy Diaz leading off the game, getting on base thanks to an error by the third baseman Rafael Devers, but was running it out just enough to be safe. Then Franco walks. He fouled off the first 2 pitches and then works the count full and then reaches base. And then that, of course, was a very exciting moment. First and second, nobody out. And then with 1 out there, Arozarena puts the ball in play. And it was a weird play, an error charged to the shortstop, Bogarts. From where I was sitting, I couldn't quite tell if he was trying to throw to second or throw to first. It looked like maybe the ball ricocheted off of somebody and just kind of gets away. Yandy from third scores on the single. Franco from second base, or really from first base, scores on the error there. And then Randy on the error is able to get all the way to third with 1 out. So 2 runs in with a man still on. Margot pops out, and then Francisco Mejia, who has really been struggling at the plate since coming off the injured list. I mean, over a month ago. And part of his 2-for-3 night here tonight, it's an RBI single to drive in Franco, and that was the second run. And of course, they leave Mejia at second base. I'm sorry. I got a little bit confused. The play where the errors came was from the single off of Mejia. Randy just hit the lead, a infield single to load the bases actually, and then Mejia drove in the 2 runs out on the single. One of them only an RBI. They had a 2-out double for Yandy Diaz, and he was thrown out on the base path. Looking at that play on the play-by-play, because I'm drawing a little bit of a blank as to what that was. In the second inning, excuse me. And he got thrown out trying to stretch a double into a triple. Typically not a play that I would imagine Yandy trying to stretch that into, but I guess with 2 outs, he was just trying to push the issue, and it was a changeup down and away that he hit with quite some authority. So I would like to see more of the extra bases and things like that, and him be more of a threat, not just kind of a walk guy. Go down in order in the third, 1 out single in the fourth. They do nothing with, and then of course that 5th inning that we'll remember forever. A leadoff hit by pitch to Kiermaier, a single by Yandy that makes a first and second, nobody out. And then Wander Franco, of course, hitting that home run to left field that set the Trop on fire. It was a 3-run shot and tied the game at 5 in the 5th. And nothing really going on in that inning. They go down in order in the 6th. A 2-out double in the 7th that they do nothing with. Austin Meadows leaves Franco at second base after Franco's second extra base hit of the night. Then in the 8th, another threat, and this is where it just gets really frustrating. A leadoff single for Randy, another infield hit. And they go to the bench there in the 8th. Wendell pinch hits for Margot and walks. So it's first and second, nobody out. G-Man Choi pinches for Francisco Mejia, and he flies out to left. And started off 0-2 and was really just kind of struggling from there on against the righty Adam Ottavino, who in the Red Sox bullpen was pretty spectacular tonight, working out of jams. Brandon Lau pops up with that first and second, and then Taylor Wall strikes out. So first and second, nobody out. You don't score any runs. That's a bit typical of the Rays, unfortunately. Then in the 9th, a leadoff walk to Kiermaier. Then a Yandy Diaz basically runs out a double play ball and that was that, of course, strange play where it was the Red Sox infielder tagging Kevin Kiermaier running from first to second, but the ball comes out of the mitt. He was initially called safe, and I thought we were going to have first and second again with nobody out, but instead they go to the replay and call Kevin Kiermaier out. I wasn't watching the telecast, so I don't know exactly the reasoning, but at that point you just swap kind of Yandy for Kiermaier with an out, so runner at first with 1 out. Then Franco grounds to the pitcher but moves Diaz to second with 2 outs, so a single, depending on where it's placed, could walk it off in the 9th. But instead, Austin Meadows strikes out looking, and what was a pretty bad at-bat, just went down early and stayed down in the count, and before he was ultimately retired. So, and then in the 10th, with the runner at second base, Randy pops out to the catcher for out number 1. Then for out number, with 1 out, they intentionally walk Joey Wendell. They don't even want to see the lefty, so it becomes first and second with 1 out, setting up the double play ball as well. And then Mike Stanino coming up for his first at-bat of the game, and he grounds out. It was a weird play. So you had first and second, again with 1 out, and a ground ball to the left side. Phillips, who was the runner at second, has to go because, of course, Wendell from first has to go to second. So no matter what, you just have to run through the play. Brett Phillips doesn't realize where he's at, and when the ball goes to the third baseman, Devers, he scampers back to go to second, but it doesn't matter because Wendell's there. So it doesn't matter. He has to go. Phillips has to go to third no matter what. And Devers, like he had an error in the first inning and really was not shaky. He's not a great defensive third baseman, by the way. A great RBI man, a great hitter, but not good defensively. Juggles with the ball, and we don't know for sure. We'll never know. But if Phillips had run the play out, they could have maybe had bases loaded with 1 out. And in the bottom of the 10th in a tie game, a decent chance you can win the game. and then we're singing a whole different song. But Phillips, a base running mistake there, and we typically are high on his base running skills and how it just makes the pitcher uncomfortable, and it leads to a good pitch for the hitter to hit. Instead, it's him making a mistake there that really cost the team. And then still with first and second and 2 outs, it was Brandon Lau grounding out to cap off his 0 for 5 with a couple strikeouts mixed in there. So scoring opportunities really throughout the game. They're only able to score in a couple of innings, the first and in the fifth. And really comes down to that extra inning ineptitude where they have the runner at second and nobody out and they can't bring him in. Just the fact that it's happened like this for like the third time where they lose in the 10th should seriously consider, bunting the runner over to third and then maybe sack flying him in. I mean, there's ways that you can do this without just trying to get hits, because obviously just trying to get hits is not working. They're now 3-9 this season in extra inning games, and the 7th straight loss drops Tampa Bay 12 games above 500 at 43-31, and they are now a game and a half behind the Red Sox in the American League East standings. So that's more bad news. And not much to say that we haven't already said about the pitching, just a bit of an overuse. I thought the move to have Fireisen pitch in the 8th and in the 9th was going to come back to bite them, but he ends up getting through 2 innings fine, 26 pitches, 15 strikes. And then Fairbanks, as we talked about, we went very much in depth into that 10th inning and just overuse. His velocity was down all the way to 92, so that's concerning. I hope that's not an issue. He's already gone down once this season with, I believe, a shoulder rotator cuff issue and missed a decent amount of time. And from April, pretty much from the beginning of April to the beginning of May, so missed an entire month. So hoping that that's not going to be another issue, because the last thing this team needs right now with a thin rotation is to have one of their high leverage relievers go down. Because we're getting back into this 2018-2019 situation where you can't lean on the starting pitching and you're just going to have to bullpen it. And when relievers go down, you put yourself in a really bad place. And the offense certainly could help the team out. But as we talk about, between the defense and the pitching, anytime this team scores 5 runs, especially at home, you should be coming away with wins. And they're playing a really good team right now. Again, the Red Sox 7-0 against the Rays and Yankees combined this year. So the Red Sox are certainly making a statement, and the best the Rays can hope to do, if they win the next 2, they'll have a half-game lead in the AL East. But with a 7-game losing streak for the team, that's certainly not something that you feel confident about happening. So moving on from tonight's loss, and it's crazy because I'll remember this game for a lot of good with what Franco did and how insane it was that he was actually able to live up to the hype and live up to the billing. He did a curtain call after the home run. I mean, I was really going nuts. I was into it. It was really exciting. And it'll be exciting moving forward, even if this team loses the next couple of days. I guarantee you he's going to do some really exciting stuff on either side of the ball. And there was a diving play, by the way, for Franco. It was the RBI double for J.D. Martinez in the 3rd that kind of went off of his glove. They ended up calling it not only not an error, but just a straight double for Martinez. So maybe not Franco's fault, but we've seen plays made by mainly Wendell over there at the hot corner, cashing those plays in for outs. And that's really how big of a difference it makes. Either an out or an RBI double. And, sometimes a defensive play, it makes the difference in that situation. So, but then it kind of made up for it with that nifty double play that he was able to twirl in the 8th inning. So moving on to tomorrow's contest with the Red Sox up 1-0 at 7:10 tomorrow night at the Trop. Rays, Red Sox on the mound for the Bo Sox, the righty Garrett Richards, and on the mound for the Rays, the lefty Rich Hill. So starting with Boston's pitching first, Garrett Richards, the 33-year-old right-hander this season, is 4-4 on the season with a .436 earned run average. And we talked about this yesterday. All 3 of the Red Sox starters that appear in the series are having their worst month of the season in the month of June. So Richards pitching to a .436 ERA on the season. His ERA in the month of June is .575, so like about a run and a half difference in favor of not being good. His last time out against the Braves, not a good start at all. 4 innings, of 6 runs allowed on 7 hits, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts, 84 pitches. The time before that against the Blue Jays, 5 1/3 of 4 runs on 11 hits and a couple walks. This season, he has 35 walks to 64 strikeouts. So a guy that, that's not a very good ratio. Usually like a 20 to 80 walk to strikeout ratio would be good. But instead it's about, half and half. Looking at kind of his scouting report and his last outing against the Braves just to see the kind of stuff that he throws. And fastball's kind of the same deal. Fastball's 92, 93, so not really overpowering you with anything. Started off the game with a ton of fastballs. Got a slider that he works off of that, and that's all he threw in the first inning of his last time out. And that's it. That's it, folks. A fastball at 92, 93, a slider at 85. And again, almost a 6 ERA in the month of June. That's what you would expect, and he walked quite a bit, and you can see why, especially if he doesn't have control of the fastball. So I thought the Rays had a good chance against Eduardo Rodriguez tonight. They ended up getting 5 runs off of the southpaw over 6 innings. So overall, the offense did a good job, but I thought maybe they would have done more early. But again, what else is new with straining scoring opportunities? And he was with the Padres last year, so has not seen the Rays anytime recently. And by the way, so the righty Garrett Richards, the lineup tomorrow. Franco, by the way, obviously batting second, as you know, he batted second pretty much the whole year with Durham this year, and I did mention that. Not sure if it meant anything, but it shows you the confidence that the Rays have in this guy in a major league debut to bat him second in the order. And boy, did he come through, and how. So, of course, he'll probably be in the lineup again. Different lineup a little bit. Maybe go to the lefties if you want to have Kiermaier and Phillips in the outfield. Maybe Meadows as well. But let's say maybe Randy in left, Kiermaier in center, Phillips in right, and then in the infield from third to first. Let's say maybe they go Wendell at third, Wander at shortstop, Lau at second base, G-Man Choi at first, Mike Zunino to catch, and pick your DH whether you want. Probably Austin Meadows, and they could go all lefties, Austin Meadows, but then they would just be, having Meadows play the field and DHing, Rosarena, Yandy, Walsh, whoever else, but I don't imagine that being the case. And then for the Rays on the pitching side, Rich Hill this year, the 41-year-old left-hander, 5-2 with a 364 earned run average. He has not seen the Red Sox yet this year and has not seen them recently. That would be relevant. His last time out against the Seattle Mariners, 5 innings, 4 runs on 6 hits, a couple of homers allowed, a walk, 5 strikeouts, 86 pitches. Looking at that game on the 17th, so that was the Thursday game. And that was, of course, they had the lead and then they got walked off on. In the 9th, couple innings scoreless and a leadoff double, and a sac fly drives him in for a run, a leadoff homer in the 5th, 2-run shot in the 6th, and that's the scorebook is always great because it always brings the memories back. So he was really working the curveball in the 4th, in the 5th, in the 3rd and the 4th, and then in the 5th, I got it right the first time. The curveball was working in the 4th and the 5th. Then in the 6th, he gave up a single on the curveball and a home run on the curveball, and that was pretty much his night. And that's about all he throws. He's got a cutter off of the fastball, but more or less it's the same pitch. 3-mile-an-hour difference and a little bit of movement. But the curveball really is the key. If he can get it thrown for strikes, he's A-OK. If he can't, and he was not getting the high call strike from Joe West, the home plate umpire that night, then you're not going to do so well. And you're going to have to lean on, an 89-mile-an-hour fastball, and that's where he's gotten into some trouble this year. So, as always, that's going to be the key. The bullpen is absolutely taxed behind him. There's no bulk men with Colin McHugh. There's got to be a move that's going to be made to bring up a pitcher. I can't see how they didn't. Diego Castillo was the only man that did not pitch tonight, and it doesn't look like we have any news as of yet. But I'm sure it'll come out tomorrow. And hard to say where the innings come from. He really does need to have a 5-inning start. Even if I guess he doesn't do so well, they may just have to kind of let him eat it. And outside of that, maybe Kit going on a back-to-back. Thompson on a back-to-back, no problem. I mean, a lot of people are. Fairbanks and Fireeisen are out, as is McHugh. So Kit, Thompson, Whistler, and then Castillo maybe to close things up. So not a ton of options. And it really, so, the more you talk about it, the more it makes sense that they would be potentially making a move to bring someone up. I don't think they would send Taylor Walls down just yet, so maybe a pitcher they send down. Hopefully Fairbank's not going on the IL, but maybe something we have to think about. So we'll be on the air after the game tomorrow. Hopefully they get off the schneid, kick that 11-game losing streak to the curb, and give it back to the Red Sox. Definitely make sure you're following us on Twitter at WHBC Official to make sure you get the link to the show whenever it goes live. You can also follow us on Spreaker.com on the show page where you're listening to it right now. Either of those things, make sure you get the program right when we go live so you can catch it from wire to wire. We'll make sure to get the phone line straightened out so we can take your calls with no issues. Apologize for the technical difficulties. Thanks to everyone for listening in. Again, as always, the loyal fans, we appreciate it. And, of course, we'll talk to you tomorrow after the game.
Sports Radio 101.9 FM and Sports Radio 66 FM.
HBC